Okay, but that one I know was good because they went to a second printing and they sold a ton of the second printing. That's where it's going to take something like that, a Taylor Swift to say, hey, I'm doing a Marvel comic book and you can only get it at comic book stores. Go find one. You know, I don't know if that's going to do it, but I sure as fuck would be trying if I was the comic book industry.
Well, I'll tell
you
you
what.
what.
Think the comic
Post Malone.
Go ahead, Brian, but I'll just say, like, you know, the comic book, and I don't mean to demean our wonderful hobby, but the comic book is the best merchandise item related to whatever thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is how you do more of it. Why isn't there more? We should be hearing the world or more talk about Post Malone doing a comic book. You know, like this should have been. I know it's talked about, but it should have been talked about more. I feel like it wasn't talked about enough.
The comic book showed up the week of Free Comic Book Day, so retailers barely had this in their hands.
I know, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's on Vault.
Yeah, and it's Vault. You know, that's literally the tree that fell in the woods and nobody was around to hear it fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I you know, there was an article that came out. I'm not going to mention the person's name, and they were talking about the downfall of the comic book store, the downfall of the publishers, and all this stuff. And the one thing that they never talked about was the resolve, right? And all the platforms we have available to us today to not only to sell, but to talk and to promote. And I think what we forget is a comic book store owner has a short window to talk about something because they have to talk about something next week.
Yeah.
That's coming out. So our windows are very short. So do we talk backwards or do we talk forwards?
I'll go one step further. The entire world on November 6th or whenever it was like, oh my God, we have to do podcasts to win an election. Okay. Swag, how many comic publishers have contacted you to try to get you an interview with Post Malone or Def Leppard or
Exactly.
Oh, hold on. What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey Brian, how many comic publishers have contacted you to talk about their exciting big comic book? Is that it? You're frozen again, but that was a zero? That was a zero. Okay. Jesse, how many publishers? We talk to publishers all day, every day.
Every
Okay,
day.
how many have contacted you to try to weasel in and like, hey Jesse, can you get us on Beyond Wednesday? Any channel, I don't care. To talk about this.
Actually, quite a bit, but they don't deserve to come on.
Well, yeah, no, okay. How many legitimate requests do you get?
Legitimate requests, I probably get 3 a week, but I don't think they have the base. What would be the best way?
I agree. But the thing is if Post
very
Malone,
small.
I've met the Vault guys. I told those guys I thought they were great the one time I met them. They've never contacted me. They didn't say, hey, you guys should get we should try to get Post Malone. Here's the thing. I don't know what channel they would go on. What channel? Do you think Wes at Thinking Critical got a call from Post Malone to do an interview about his new comic book?
Definitely not Thinking Critical, brother.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, who's got the
name on here?
Who's got the views? Who's got the views that should have gotten the call?
Well, you know what's interesting is that, Dennis, to that point, it's like, I think that a lot of the companies, I think they're starting to think about it, but you know, in fairness to them, I don't think they quite understand like who they should be talking to.
Right.
Because like maybe they're getting like, you guys all know, like sometimes you go on Instagram and you see like
here's
some
the
comic
thing.
book review.
I'll
I'm like,
go one
who
step
is this
further.
person?
If anybody got him, Comic Tom should have gotten him.